Hey, Reflections. So, a lot of stuff has been happening. A lot of stuff has been changing, and I've been a little bit sick, but I'm doing a lot better, and I kind of feel like that was my body purging, and I'm finally feeling well enough to get back to my original schedule. And yeah, I've been coming to a lot of realizations, especially with the microdosing and the last LSD experience and the ayahuasca experience, the last DMT experience I had, and it's just all coming together. And I've been learning a lot, like a lot. And you know, it's all about transformation and transforming the soul and learning what you're supposed to learn. Like, that's the evolutionary process. And so I don't really have a lot of stuff, but the stuff that I did have, I couldn't really identify with anymore. I couldn't use anymore. So I just wanted things that weren't as expensive. I mean, let's get real. I used to spend like $1,700 on shoes and $3,000 on handbags, and I don't do that anymore because I know that's very irresponsible of me, and it's just crazy. Like, I understand energy a lot more. So I made it my mission to go and find something that would more suit my style, and then oh man, then I started learning. So I realized that, you know, why I have to have a channel and why my perspective is very important. At the same time, to me, after my LSD experience, it really wasn't important. I didn't understand why my perspective was important. It didn't make any sense at all. The friend or the shaman that I was hanging out with was like, he gave me like my camera and was like, here, start shooting. And I'm just like, but why? And now I understand why. See, the internet is full of people with different perspectives, and a lot of those perspectives are either, how do I say this nicely? Ignorant, and a lot of them are irresponsible. And I've come to the realization that my perspective is going to be for the educated and responsible individual, and that's what I promote. That's what I'm encouraging you guys to promote, and I'm essentially talking to myself. I mean, that's what I realized, and that's why it just didn't make any sense after my last LSD experience why my perspective. But I realized that everything is for a reason, and so I decided to go shopping to get something that was more affordable and my style. I found these, and I know. First, this is not encouraging anybody to buy this. I'm trying, it's a point. I promise I'm making a point. These shoes, and I didn't even think about it. It triggered an emotion inside of me. And I remember when I was 10 years old in 1996, I got my first Nintendo, and there was a lot of emotion behind it because my parents didn't let me play the Nintendo. No, they didn't do that. What they did was they waited a year for me to get good grades and prove that I was worthy, and they let me play the Nintendo. So this has a lot of nostalgic just feelings, and it triggered something within me. And then I was thinking, why? Why does that trigger something? I mean, it was only $75. It's not about the money, but that made me start digging a little bit deeper into myself and what all of this is. You know, what are we actually doing here? And it's really funny because a few days ago, I was with a friend and he put on something called Black Mirror. If you guys don't know what Black Mirror is, look it up. It's on Netflix. It's the second season, the second episode, the first season. And it was people riding on bicycles, using their energy to basically buy all of these things that they couldn't touch or feel or anything, but it was just a simulation. And that freaked me out. I'm not gonna lie, that freaked me out like crazy. I just was like, I had to turn it off because I was just like, holy shit. Like, that was just a little bit too much for me. And so I started thinking deeper, and then I was listening to a Terence McKenna lecture, and he started talking about Karl Marx and commodity fetishism. And this is where responsibility comes in, man. This is when responsibility comes in. And I started reading Das Kapital, and I do have a video that I'm going to link of, I forget who it is. I'm not really familiar with the name right now, but he is a professor and he just goes in and he explains everything. And it's really like a light bulb goes in your head and you're just like, what is existence? What am I doing here? Why am I buying all these things? What does this symbolism mean to me? Like, why does this create some sort of nostalgic, like, thought? You know, why am I like, why does this trigger something? Why does this trigger something? So, why? And like, you start realizing, holy crap, we as a society have a problem. And if we don't fix this problem, I don't know. But, you know, McKenna talks about commodity fetishism and how if we kind of make that a virtual thing, like Black Mirror, if we make it a virtual concept, then maybe people will not be suffering, the earth will not be suffering. But the fact that things hold so much value and that everything is basically for sale and we are all for sale, but our self-worth at this point is so low that we feel like we have to work for somebody and still buy all these things because they have these emotional triggers. Oh my God. But I mean, I've had a lot to think about, like a lot to think about. And you know, my last LSD experience, I don't think I've really talked a lot about it because I only talked about it for 15 minutes. But time itself was collapsing into a singularity and folding into a singularity. And it really felt like that end of the world scenario, but at the same time, it felt like my role or my perspective was key for the evolution of consciousness, or for others, to help others. And I looked it up, and I saw in a lot of message boards that it was delusions of grandeur, but if you stop and think about it, what is that concept? Like, what does that mean? That means that you are not good enough to do anything, and your perspective doesn't matter. And don't think that you could try changing the world, and don't think that you could do anything. If Steve Jobs thought that his LSD experience was just delusions of grandeur, would he come up with the Apple computer? So don't buy into it. I'm not buying into it. I feel that everything is necessary and absolute, and everything is for a reason. And oh my God. And another thing, that as I was collapsing into time, and as I myself was going into the deepest depths of myself, of what is Quantum Kitty, I was taking off the masks that I was wearing, and with every single mask, I would dive deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into myself. And I went so far to realize we're just all like, now when I observe people, I'm observing the masks that they are wearing and the programs that they are running. And it's very hard for me not to connect, or to connect with the person that is non-authentic and that is wearing those masks, and they're just not getting it. And I think that's why our leaders have to be psychedelic. I mean, if you do not ingest any type of entheogens, your ego is going to be so inflated and huge. So inflated. I mean, forget about it. You're not going to be able to talk to people that are below you, or you'd be talking down to people because you think you are so amazing and you are so awesome and your perspective is the only thing in the world, when in actuality, everything is important, So it's just a lot to process, and I'm going to be talking more about it. But if you've realized I've been silent, and when I go silent, I'm learning and I'm evolving and I'm changing and I'm absorbing, and I can understand how microdosing can make you also very creative. I had my first mushroom dream the other day, and it was one small mushroom trying to like an animated tape cartoon trying to go inside of my mouth, and I freaked out because I didn't know what it was, but it was a mushroom, and that was, I guess, my consciousness knowing that I'm microdosing. I don't know. But what I like to do is I like to take really large doses infrequently, like let's say every 3 to 6 months, maybe more. Sometimes I don't take psychedelics for a year. Sometimes I don't need to. Sometimes I just had too much truth just dropped on me. And then in between, I like to microdose every other 2 days. So that's been working for me, and I'm going to be creating a lot more content now because I know why I should. I know that there's no content out there that is responsible and intellectual for me, so I have to create it, and I hope that others do the same. And I am already seeing it, and it's awesome, and I applaud all of you content creators, and also all of you consumers as well, because you're choosing to consume something that not many people are, and that's awesome. Anyway, reflections, I hope you're having an awesome, awesome, awesome day.